Hello, this is Dudley Baker with Common Stock Warrants. Really happy to have here. I want to say an old friend. We haven't seen each other face to face. This is not live and in person, but it's been many years. Rick Rule. And so welcome, Rick. This is great. More of our conversations in the past, as I recall, have been in the back of a convention auditorium, in Vancouver or San Francisco or somewhere, and somebody's getting ready to go up on the podium, and we have a brief conversation and all that good stuff. But glad to have you with us.
Dudley, it's a pleasure to be back with you, and I'm glad you were polite enough not to have described our former conversation as taking place in bars and hotels. So,
Yes, yes. Well, we'll keep those private here for at least for a few sessions here. Okay, for sure. Well, I tell you, we probably couldn't have this session on the day after the U.S. election without at least acknowledging that, yes, a lot of news last night. Trump won, looks like a landslide situation. But we're not going to talk about this because I want to keep my current agenda of asking you a few questions that I think maybe our listeners will be excited about. And number one, well, just to give you a bullet point here so everybody knows where we're going. First question I've got for Rick is just to bring us up to date on the latest with Battle Bank, which I know is one of your hot buttons here for sure. Always love the expression that you have. Number two is no warrant, no deal. That's number two. And then number three, I don't know that you've discussed this with anybody, but it's more for the average investor that doesn't have monster money, like a lot of people to invest. A small investor that says only has $10,000, $25,000, $50,000, but loves the mining space, but would still like to have the opportunity to, as we always talk about, 10 baggers. So how do you get a 10 bagger and you only got a little bit of money to play with? So anyhow, let me bring you back to the top and on the Battle Bank. So with Trump coming back in, would this help regulatory wise, what you were trying to do with Battle Bank?
no, I don't think so. Although maybe over time, what we've decided to do, Dudley, well, to bring your listeners up to speed, we were approved by the tough regulator, the OCC, in 97 days. Our application has been in front of the so-called easy regulator, the FDIC, for 2 years and 6 months.
Wow.
The reason for that is that the FDIC is charged with administering or shutting down problem banks. And there hasn't been a shortage of problem banks in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
For once, this isn't a regulatory failure. Every time a bank ran into trouble, which seemed to be once a week, our file got deeper down in the stack. So what we announced this Monday is that we've entered into a letter of intent to acquire an existing FDIC nationally chartered bank and present a recapitalization plan. We've socialized the recapitalization plan with both the FDIC and the OCC, with thus far very good results. I wish we'd done this 2 years ago. I wasn't familiar with, in the prior banks that I'd started, the same regulatory constraints that we've hit with Battle Bank. So we propose to address these, as I say, by buying an existing operating FDIC charter bank. We've entered into a letter of intent to do just that. We now need to get the change of business plan approved, but we are assuming that that will be a 100-day challenge as opposed to a 2 or 3 year challenge.
Okay. Okay. Now,
By the way, Dudley, the great news is you'll recall, because you, like me, go far enough back to remember our last bank, EverBank.
yes, yes.
With EverBank, when we opened the door to day one, we had 0 customer backlog. The good news about having 2.5 years with Battle Bank is that our customer backlog now approaches 16,000.
Okay.
So we expect that we're going to hit the ground running when we're finally allowed to go.
Okay. No, that's cool. And just briefly, so how will Battle Bank distinguish itself from the other banks that we've got out here in the universe?
I think in 3 particular ways. The first is that this here's our branch,
Okay.
your phone or your computer.
Okay.
Branches add about 1.5% in non-interest expense costs to regular banks. And for sophisticated customers, they don't add any value. When I go into my branch of a financial supermarket, I'm met by a very nice branch manager. She really is a sweet human being, but she didn't know much about banking. She brings no benefit to me. When I ask her a
Mhm.
sophisticated question, she points to a white service telephone that connects me to India or someplace like that. Um, my bank doesn't need her.
Yeah.
We built with EverBank a $28 billion bank without having any branches. We're going to do that again because our structural costs are so much lower. We don't need to fool our depositors. The
Mhm.
big banks have 15, 16, 20 deposit products, five or six of which pay you no interest. If
Mhm.
it seems confusing, that's because their intent is to confuse you.
Mhm. Mhm.
In our bank, we'll have one high yield money market account. You want to write checks on it? That's great. You don't? That's great too. Not
Yeah.
16 products, one.
Yeah.
One product that is in the highest quartile of paying products nationwide. If you want to save outside the US dollar, we'll let you do that too. At Everbank, we had CDs available in 28 currencies. At Battle Bank, initially we'll have CDs available in 20 currencies. Want to
Okay.
save in renminbi? Want to save in euro? Want to save in Swiss franc? Want to save in New Zealand dollars? The choice is yours, not the
Cool.
bank's.
Okay. Cool.
A second thing, Dudley, and I'm hugely excited about this. I've never seen this before. At our bank, your IRA is going to be your IRA. At most banks, the IRAs are repositories for Wall Street annuities or mutual funds. There are
Okay.
very few permitted assets. It turns out that the law allows your IRA, pardon me, to own an LLC, which can invest in any permitted activity. Your IRA can own a duplex or a triplex. Your IRA, if your means are sufficient, can own a McDonald's franchise that you operate. Your
Wow.
IRA through an LLC can invest in crypto or private equity. In other words, you decide what's the right outcome for your retirement.
Okay.
I didn't even, at the time we formed this bank, I didn't know that was legal.
Yeah.
I had my attorney sit down with the bank's attorneys. My attorney said, Rick, it's completely legal. And we have a team that's ready to do this for you right now.
Well,
Maybe
we're
the
gonna.
most exciting, maybe the
Yeah.
most
Well.
exciting thing for me personally is that every other bank in the United States doesn't consider gold to be good loan collateral.
Yeah.
Well, I happen to like gold, so I would like to
Yeah.
take it as collateral. No other bank in the United States has this feature, but if you hold gold, silver, or platinum and palladium in a segregated account, gold that you have buried in the backyard doesn't count, Dudley. But
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
you have gold at Brinks, Loomis, or Viamat in a segregated account, Battle Bank will give you a margin loan. You don't have to borrow the money; it'll be a line of credit. So let's say you had $1 million worth of gold and you wanted to borrow $500,000. You needed $500,000 to put a down payment on a summer home or a duplex or something like that. You don't want to sell your gold, but you want access to the capital you have tied up.
Hmm. Hmm.
We're going to do that.
Okay.
We've identified about $33 billion in bullion in segregated accounts in the United States that nobody lends against. So Battle Bank is going to lend against it. And Dudley, you
Yeah.
know that I've been talking to the gold community for 50 years. These are my folks.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know how to access them. I know how to design products that'll service them. I can't wait to get going doing
Yeah,
it.
no, I bet you are. So no, I appreciate that update here. So I'm gonna walk you down the road here because I know we've got a limited amount of
Yeah,
time today. We had a few technical glitches on the front end. So I love the expression that I've seen, no warrant, no deal.
yeah,
Okay, and so here at Common Stock Warrants, I'm kind of known as the warrant guy. And we've got the database for all the stock warrants trading in the US and in Canada. And so we got, I don't know, 800 or 900 different companies that have got stock warrants that are trading.
right.
And and I know I've listened to your interviews in the past with Arash over at Private Placement. So great interviews that you guys have. I'm hoping one day to get the three of us chit chatting on a session. I think that would be
That'd
enlightening
be
to a lot
fun.
of
Yeah.
people. Now I know from your standpoint, your exposure, and rightly so, is stock warrants via the private placements. And so it makes perfect sense. But I think reality is, you and I know that not every individual investor gets involved in private placement, is invited to participate in private placements. Even if you want to, it's probably over before you even find out about it. So it's a real challenge in many ways. So, but I know in your case, there would be via private placements, but there are a lot of warrants that are trading in the mining space, in the precious metals arena, on the miners, and more often than not, they're very small companies. But so you have a way to play the stock warrants a different at a venue here. But no, just any comments that you've got on the warrants, whether they be private placement or trading or anything there.
Well, I need to disclaim, first of all, that my experience in aftermarket warrant trading is less than my experience in private placements.
Mm-hmm.
I have been in very small companies, mostly a private placement investor for 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
And the consequence of that is that I have always, or at least almost always, demanded and often received a warrant, which is the ability to have the opportunity to participate in the value that was created by my equity investment.
Right, right.
I have used trading warrants as a way to avail myself of speculative leverage. If you have a warrant that, let's say, has a market price of 5 cents and has an exercise price at 50 cents, and let's say that the stock goes from 40 cents to $1, rather than experiencing 120% profit in those circumstances, you experience a 10-fold or 11-fold profit. Now, understand this comes at a cost. Warrants, the premium or deficit in the warrant has time decay, which means that you don't just have to be right. You have to be right in a specified period of time.
Yeah.
The second thing about warrants, Dudley, is you have to be a brutal seller. If you determine that you've made a mistake, losing 30% of your money is better than losing 100% of your money.
Right, right.
And sometimes, like with small stocks, your gains are ephemeral. What I've tried to do when I've traded the aftermarkets in warrants is, when the trade moves decidedly in my favor, if I can sell enough of my position that I can recoup all of my capital and allow, in gambling parlance, my trade to continue on the house's money.
Right.
Let's say I bought $10,000 worth of some warrant, and now all of a sudden the position is $50,000 or $60,000 in the money. I will almost reflexively sell enough of the warrant position to recoup my capital investment and pay the capital gains tax.
Mm-hmm.
I call that position the point of no concern, as opposed to missing the trade, which is
Right.
then the point of no return.
Right. So then what you're hoping is on the balance that you hold, that will be your 10 bagger or your 20 bagger or whatever. So yeah, you always say, it sounds good to say, hey, this has 10 bagger potential. Okay, but it doesn't mean that you're going to hold all the way.
That's right.
You want in a sane world, let's say, if any of us are sane investing in the mining space, I don't know about that, but it's like we've got to take some money off the table, and then we're playing with the house's money, and then we let that be our 10 or 20 bagger. So yeah, makes sense.
Dudley, a couple observations. I make fun of speculation. I make fun of the mining business. My wife reminds me that all of the money I now invest sensibly, I made speculating aggressively. You've known me long enough to know that that's true.
Yeah.
If you acknowledge that you're a speculator and you establish speculative tactics that are consistent with your psychological and financial capabilities, the speculation is not a bad thing. I think it can be a very good thing. But you do need to be disciplined to be a speculator.
Yeah.
In order to come out and make some money, you can't rely on hope. You
Right.
have to understand why you made a speculation. You
Right.
have to understand what could go wrong and how you would know. And you have to know ahead of time what you're going to do if something goes wrong. And you also have to have a strategy for profiting. The second thing I've learned in speculation, I'm 71 years of age. I've been speculating for over 50 years now, is that you can take away some of my upside if you take away most of my downside.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, if I'm
Good.
10,000, if I'm $50,000 in the money or $30,000 in the money, depending on how much time is left on the warrant,
Yeah.
and I can take my cost out of the equation, which is to say I can eliminate my downside,
Hmm.
I'm fine to give up the
Yeah.
upside on that part of the
Yeah.
business. In fact, I'm
Yeah.
thrilled.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. Okay. The last session I'd like to cover here with you is that knowing, and forgive me here, we all know that you are not a typical average investor here. You come at it with a few more dollars than most of us have to, allocate in different ways and invest in, and say, in higher priced companies, et cetera. Where, let's just say, at my service, and those that want to be a subscriber, one of my gold subscribers, they get access to my personal portfolio, good, bad, or whatever. They see the small and a lot of micro cap companies that I've got. So I follow the insiders a lot and feel comfortable that if the insiders are buying, well, I'm okay. I don't look for bad news if the insiders are putting their own money in this baby. So I feel good about most of my individual positions. And of course, if there's warrants trading on those smaller companies, I definitely take a serious look at that as well, with enough time on the horizon. But for a lot of the individuals, I know I've had these questions through the years and said, Dudley, what do I do if I only have $10,000? If I only have 25,000? My answer to them is always, okay, take that amount of money, divide by 5, because we got to get more than one position. Now, this doesn't sound like much, but let's take your 10,000 and we're going to divide that by 5. And so we're going to put $2,000 in 5 different positions. And whether they be small stocks, whether they be warrants, a lot of the warrants are in the penny range. So you can buy quite a bit, and all with the potential of having that 10 bagger. And so you've got 10,000 or 25,000 and you put it all in 1 or 2 positions. In like an example, like a Nico Eagle or something, and no disrespect to the company, but you're not going to get a 10 bagger out of a Nico Eagle. And so even if an individual investor doubled his money with 10 or 25,000, I'd be the first to say, well, big deal. You're not going to change your lifestyle. But if you can take a little bit of money and spread it out, and then have the multiple opportunities for 10 baggers, which I think we'll have that opportunity in the future. It makes sense to me, and that's kind of the philosophy that I've used personally, as well as sharing that with other people. So hopefully, I'm curious to your comments on this.
I'm of two minds.
Okay.
In order to be a speculator, you have to have a speculator's mindset.
Mm-hmm.
You need to have decided that $10,000 is expendable, or
Mm-hmm.
at least half of it's expendable.
Mm-hmm.
You have to achieve that sort of inner zen first. And if you can't, you're going to lose the $10,000. So don't
Right.
do it.
Right.
If you have committed to become a speculator, then exactly what you say is right. Exactly what you say is right. If you put all your eggs in one basket in speculation, remember that in speculation, the probability is that each individual decision is a failure.
Mm-hmm.
The arithmetic works because you make so much more on the one you win than on the 3 you lost on, that over
Yeah.
time you come out. That's why you need to have exposure to 5 or 6 or 7 names. Place
Right.
all thine eggs in one basket, and some bitch steps on the basket and cracks the
Yeah.
eggs.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You can't do
Yeah.
that. The second thing, though, is time. 10 baggers take time.
Mhm.
What likely happens is that you exercise part of your warrant position and then the stock does well.
Yeah.
There are too many people who believe that they're going to get their 10 bagger in 3 months, and that doesn't happen.
I'll tell you what, let me tell you one of my best and fastest trades with warrants. It was when Donald Trump was running for president the first time.
Right.
In that summer leading up to what was it, 2016, Northern Dynasty had an offering with a 5-year warrant.
Tradable warrant. I remember it well.
I bought it at 16 and a half cents within the first couple of days. This is in I want to say June, early July. In January, I'm selling that. Northern Dynasty took off because Trump was going to ease up on the regulations and all this good stuff.
Right.
That warrant was sold by me for over $3. So really, yeah, over a 2,000% gain in 7 months. Now, did anybody see that coming? Hell no, nobody saw that coming.
Right.
Pure luck, pure luck. But the deal is, I guess I could have held on for more, but something said, man, this is a gift from the gods. Take it and roll. And I did. So that was, but it's always that time, because I don't care whether they say you got the warrant's got a 2-year life, 3-year life, or 5-year life. Damn, that time goes by fast, really fast. And you feel good if it's a 4 or 5-year life. We've got a couple of those in the database right now. That are really cool, and if one's performed really well, the other one has not performed as well yet. But sitting at 3 or 4 cents with, say, 3 years of remaining life is kind of an intriguing situation. So it's all about stories. It's all about, and as we know that the warrant can't go up in value, an option can't go up in value unless the common stock performs.
Right.
So it's all about the underlying company. I love it when somebody, you get in a conversation, it's like it all starts with the company. Let's not even talk about warrants or options until we define the company and that we're interested in investing in. Then the secondary thing, well, I wonder, does this company have a stock warrant that's trading? Is there another way I could play this? Okay. And so that's the best way I know how to approach it. And it usually works out for me good long term to take that approach.
The other thing that you said that's really important, Dudley, is you haven't made the money till you take the money.
Right.
Don't get too wedded to having the credit balance in your brokerage account go up if a substantial part of that credit balance isn't cash. You get a warrant that gives you a 10 bagger in 9 months, or better yet, as you enjoyed a 20 bagger. You've committed a sin if you don't take some of that.
Yeah. No kidding. Well, Rick, if somebody wanted to get a hold of you, what's the best email, or if that's even possible to
the best thing to
run you
do,
down?
if you care about my take on natural resource investing, is to personalize it. If you go to my website, rick@ruleinvestmentmedia.com, and you list your natural resource stocks, I'll personally rank them.
Okay.
No charge, no obligation. And I'm sorry, that's just ruleinvestmentmedia.com. Ruleinvestmentmedia.com. List your natural resource stocks. Please, no crypto, no tech stocks, no pot stocks. Leave an old man to do what he does well. And I'll personally rank them 1 to 10.
Okay.
Now, give me a little time. I'm just back from 3 weeks on vacation, so I'm 8 or 9 days behind in my rankings because I do them all myself. But that's the best way to get hold of me.
Okay. No, that's cool. Well, just for those listeners here, is that at Common Stock Warrants, if you just visit the website, you'll find out a lot more about me, what we do, and YouTube videos and all kind of stuff, and what we've got to offer for subscribers. Got 3 incredible, what I deem to be incredible freebies. Rick, I don't know. We weren't around at the time, but there was a guy, Sidney Freed. Sidney Freed started writing the book in 1949, The Speculative Merits of Common Stock Warrants. I've got one of the original copies, and I go way back with the stock warrants. And so It really is incredible. And people could say, well, damn, at that old, who gives a shit, you know? I tell you, that is as relevant today. Nothing changes. Yeah, what is a warrant? I mean, the definition is a definition is a definition.
Yeah.
And it's the only thing that changes is the name of the companies, the current companies that have warrants that are trading. But so many incredible examples. And it's just it's so cool. Yeah, it's unbelievable. I had a guy that contacted me the other day, wanted to chit chat, and so for a little bit of money, everybody can talk personally, we talk about warrants. All of a sudden, I'm talking to a rapper from Philadelphia, and not he didn't know anything about mining stocks. He's looking at aerospace companies.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, it's just blowing my mind. And he said, no, he got into it because he was looking for stock symbols, and he saw on the New York Exchange a .ws, and he said, so what that mean? And it said stock warrants. He Googled it. What's a stock warrant? And then he finds me, and then he wants to talk, and it was just an amazing conversation, with a 37-year-old rapper from Philly, going a totally different direction than I would have ever envisioned. It was just such a fun conversation, and a really, really smart guy, and that's really cool. But yeah, all these freebies at the site are all available. So just download them. You can go to Amazon. You can buy them, but why would you want to buy them when we're going to give them to you? You just download the PDF file. But no, Rick, I'm gonna save our time for another day. I know you got another session coming up. Just really glad to, I want to say, reconnect with you, and hopefully we can do this a little more often in the future as interesting sessions come up, our investment possibilities, and we have a good reason to chit chat. So if that sounds good, we're just going to let you go and get on with the next session.
I look forward to it, sir. I do have to jump off and join another call, but I've enjoyed visiting with you after all these years. I look forward to seeing you in person somewhere, sometime.
Soon, we hope. Okay. Thank you much, Rick. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.